reference, 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 and more references. They are important, and I don't care if someone tells you, "Oh, but using an image reference isn't good. You're copying." Yes, that's the idea. If you want to learn, you need to copy from something. If you want to learn how to draw a hand, you have to look at the hand. If you want to learn how to draw a specific tree or a flower, anything you want, you need to see it to learn. So, yes, use references. They aren't a crime. Use photo references, go to the internet, take your own photos wherever you like, but use them. There's no other way for you to learn. From the very beginning of history, artists have been using them to learn. So, do it as well. If you need to, and if it makes it easier for you to understand the shapes and lines of something, grab an image, trace the main shapes on top of it as well. This is a very helpful exercise and it's no crime. Of course, you can't go grab an image, a photograph, or even an artwork from someone, trace it or copy it and claim it as your own. These are only for practice purposes, for you to learn, so it's not your own art, but you can use it for references for your own artworks. You can look at a pose, for example, so you can learn about it and how to draw it and apply to your own characters. So just remember, copying and claiming it as your own is indeed quite of a crime, so don't do it, okay? But learn and practice. And so what I want to talk here in this video today is places for you to go and get some good image references for you. We're going to see two websites that I usually use for inspiration, or if I need to check something that I'm not sure how to draw and I want to learn how to draw it, and we're going to use it and learn how to use an image reference for your own artwork. So grab your seats and let's start. Alright, so before starting our practice here, I just wanted to show you two websites that you can use for your practices. So when you're learning how to draw something, when you just need to get some inspiration. And the first one is Pinterest. I use Pinterest a lot, especially when I need some inspiration. I'll go down there, I'll search for specific outfits for a specific period, for example, colors, if I am not sure how to draw a hand or an animal, I can search in here. There's a lot of photos here. Of course, for Pinterest, use this image as reference only for your practices and nothing more. But there's a lot here, and I actually have my own boards in here. We have here several boards for you to use as references. So I have here one that is only hands, lots of hands in different positions with different colorings and shadings, so that's also important. You can look at the shading and practice it, see how the hands and the shadows will behave depending if they're in black and white or in color. So there's a lot here, as you can see, so I can just look at them and make quick sketches on my sketchbook, for example. There's a lot for you to choose from. Now, then I also have with hair. So if you're not sure how to draw the hair on your character, you can come down here, look for that as well. You can come down to Pinterest and just write hair or female hair, short hair, curly hair, and you'll have lots of examples to see. And then I also have some male and female anatomy references. So if you want to practice some poses, both in female or male, there's lots for you here if you want to study them. As well for animals, if you want to draw some animals, I have here several images saved just for that. And even colors. So yes, Pinterest is a good place for you to get inspiration and to look for something that you want to draw or learn to draw. You can come up over here and practice with these images. Other than that, you have another place, which is unsplash.com over here. I really like this one. These are stock photos, they are free. You can use them however you want, and they're also very good to use as photo references. So let's say you want to draw a dog, for example. There's a good one here. A person, a building, a specific room, for example, a specific object. There's a lot for you to look here, and you can choose a picture that you liked, you download it for free, and you can use it for your reference images for you to study and practice. So I'm going to choose one, and next we're going to try and do our practice and see how you can use your pictures. Alright, so I have my image here. So another tip that I can give you when choosing your references is also, what do you want to draw? There are two ways to do your practice. One day you're just feeling like doing some random sketches, just warming up your hand a bit, and you don't really care what you're drawing. So you just find the random images and you do quick sketches of them, or you're doing a specific character or a specific scene and you want to look pictures for it. So it all depends on what you want. So I was thinking, well, maybe let's draw someone cooking or preparing a meal. So I found this image, I found it interesting, and let's start with this one. So one way that you can do this practice is by tracing the image you have, either on your computer, or you can print it and draw on top of it the main shapes. You're not copying it, you're trying to figure out the shapes so you can later know how to draw specific things. So for example, say if I want to draw a teacup, sometimes only looking at it might be hard. If you're getting too frustrated with it, print an image, take a photo of a teacup, go to your computer or print it and draw the main shapes on top of it. It will help you immensely because you'll be training your hand to those shapes, and later you can just have a blank page and draw those shapes automatically. So that's one way to do it. So we can come up over here and I'm going, okay, let's see the main shapes I'm going to have here. So we have our circle for the head. There we go. The head is almost in profile. You have the nose, you can see a bit of the hair here of the eye. Now we have the chest, a big rectangle if you want. Right here we have an arm there. So you're just finding the skeleton of your figure or your object. Then we have some hands here. This is just so you have an idea of the shapes you'll need, the space. So there we go, we have here our main shapes, so you can learn more or less what we want to do. Of course, you can try and do something more complex. It's all up to you. This is a good way to learn. Of course, this is only for you, but it's always a good way to learn. This is always something that I say over on my courses or on my blog, is that you have to see and you have to experiment to learn how to draw something. And there's nothing wrong into going take a picture of something. Let's say you want to draw some hands, you can draw pictures of your own hands, draw on top of them, so you can understand how to work with your lines, how do the shapes behave. This is a process of learning. Of course, it might not be yours, but it's a way and you can do this. Other option, of course, is you draw on the side. You draw the image that you see, more or less you have an idea of what you have. A quick sketch, especially if you're just practicing, don't worry into getting something finished or for it to look finished. There's no need for that, because you're just practicing, you're just learning how to do something. So do not worry. So for me, this is more than enough. It's a sketch. And now if I want to work more on it, then I'll pick up my sketch, I'll keep my image if needed, if I need to check something, and I'll work on top of my sketch and go from there. Now, another thing that I want to talk in here is don't merely copy what you're seeing. Try to exaggerate your poses. For example, yes, we do have here our character very straight and cutting a carrot, but let's try to exaggerate this. Let's try to make our character looking like he's really into cutting that carrot perfectly. So I would say that instead of going with this line, let's try going with something like this. So I have here my head. We can start adding some features to it. So give space to your imagination as well, not only to not merely copy something that you're seeing. Try to do your own thing as well. As you can see, I'm trying to exaggerate here a lot, making him very close to the table, like he's really concentrating and making the best work they can out of this carrot. This has to be a perfect carrot. And of course, start to feel free to add details. You're not just copying what you see right now, you're creating your own character, so work with that. Try to flesh out ideas. So if you do want to create your character doing a specific action, do not be afraid to create tons of sketches. Even if it's digital, do not be afraid of creating tons of sketches on top of each other. This is how you flesh out your ideas. This is how you go forward in what you want to draw until you get to your final sketch. There's people that only need to make a very simple sketch very quickly that only they can understand, and then the final art. And there's also some people that do need quite some sketches, like 2 or 3 layers of sketches, and that's fine. You have to find your own process and see how you work, how you can do your thing. So don't be afraid of doing that. Even with me, it depends on what I want to do and how used I am to drawing that specific thing. So sometimes I don't need a lot of sketches. Other times I do need them. So work with your expressions. So as you can see, it all started with a simple image. Feel free to get as many images as you might need. Maybe we can add a hat here, for example. And even for that, if you need, well, find some more images for you. Let your inspiration, sometimes you might not get inspiration right away, sometimes you get it as you're drawing, and other times you'll get it when looking for pictures. So again, use Pinterest, use Unsplash for your drawings and let them inspire you. Let images inspire you. into doing some cool drawings. Don't be afraid to use reference images. They are very important for you and you should not be afraid. You need them for you to learn. So feel free to check the boards that I've shown you and practice a lot. There's no other way for you to learn. You have to practice, and to learn, you have to check your images out. So I'm just going to speed this up a bit. So here I have my final sketch out of a reference image, a very simple one. As you can see, this is where we started. We started with figuring out the shapes, tracing on top of it. Then we tried to replicate the pose side by side. Again, you can do both of these or you can choose just one. You could do the tracing, then push it to the side and draw from there, draw more sketches from there. Or you can just have your image and on the side try to replicate the pose. And then we went for the next step, which is don't copy it. Don't copy it and exaggerate. When you're drawing your characters, especially if you're doing something more cartoony, you want to exaggerate their poses because you want to convey an emotion, an expression, and an action through a static drawing. But you want still to convey some movement, and we do that through exaggerating a pose. So we went from a straight line to almost a straight line over here, almost no curve, and we tried to make this a bit more interesting, give more dynamic to our drawing. So exaggerate. This is always key for when using your references. You're not just merely copying, you're also giving it your own touch. So exaggerate your shapes and your poses. And then from there we went to a more detailed sketch. We tried to give more unique touches to our character, and finally our final sketch. And now from here we just need to do the final one, add some colors, and you're done. And this is how I usually go with my reference images. Alright, so I hope this was very helpful for you and that you now feel comfortable about using reference images for your own artworks and for you to learn how to draw anything in your life. And if you want to learn 14 more drawing tips, be sure to check don'tcorgi.com/drawing-tips. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. So bye bye! References are important! O quê? Não é nada contigo, estou a gravar um vídeo, qual é a tua? Learn and practice. So, talking about, so we're going to see 2 or 3